Hello and welcome back, and today we're going to look at the software from Linksys that arrives with your brand new Linksys Velop mesh system. We're going to overview what it can and can't do, and moreover in future videos we're going to be comparing it against the new Google Wi-Fi mesh system and of course Synology's own mesh system, a combination of AC2200 mesh router and those MR2200 mesh pods. So without further ado, we're going to go straight into the software. It's worth mentioning straight away off the bat that the Linksys mesh system is almost completely mobile access based. There are ways to access the Velop system using a desktop system, a Mac or PC, and your browser, but ideally the system is geared towards utilizing a mobile device, your Android or your iOS device, to access the dashboard and the software and the control from a mobile phone. And of course, because this is a mesh system, you should be able to walk around your home or office and access this dashboard, if you have the credentials, via any of those node points, because it's all effectively the same system. So this is what you see right there at the beginning when you boot the device up, is letting me know that there are important updates available. So let's have a look and find out what those are. And it's letting me know that there are firmware updates available for all of our pods. So the first thing I'm going to do is upload that. So I'm going to update the firmware on all of those Velop systems, so we're all up to speed on the latest firmware. Right, so the firmware has been updated, and I'm pleased to say that it was really straightforward. And I'll be honest, I quite like the fact that it told me that straight off the bat. So here we are back on that dashboard interface there, and we can have a look at some of the things this can do. Now, my phone is currently connected to this device. As you can see, if we scroll down to the bottom, NAS test is there, and my phone is connected to this new wireless network, and my device has been listed. It's the phone that we're looking at there, and we can create a whole identity for this device if we so choose. And all the different devices that are connected will be listed here on the dashboard. I haven't verified my account, as those that saw the setup video will know, but I'm not going to bother with that too much at this stage. The Wi-Fi, of course, we can find out more about our internet connectivity. And if we want to create our guest account, this is where we can create an account that if we have friends or family over, or we're giving maybe a neighbour some internet connectivity, we can give them guest Wi-Fi. So if we just call it guest Wi-Fi, maybe spelling guest Wi-Fi correctly might do the trick as well. And we'll give that a login credential. And that's it. It really is that straightforward to create guest Wi-Fi. So we'll go for that. And that's it. Now we're configuring our guest access, and it's as straightforward as that, to give people access to our internet connection that is both temporary if we so choose, but moreover gives us the ability to see exactly what they are doing. Not the websites they visit, that would be far too invasive, but it's still going to be nice to be able to see exactly how much data is being used, or if you have a guest staying in your house that's being a little bit too greedy on your upload or your downloads. Now, Linksys Shield is the ability for you to have parental control. Now, I don't like the fact that straight off the bat there are paid plugins here. Don't get me wrong, the safety of your family is paramount. It's very, very important indeed. But I do know there are some brands out there, and again I'm including Google Wi-Fi and Synology's SRM system, that include a service like this for free, or indeed in the cost of your device, not a rolling contract. So I'm a little bit disappointed by the Linksys Shield protection there, so I'm not going to focus too much on that because that is a paid extra. Now, this gives you the ability with connected devices that are connected to your Wi-Fi network a certain amount of control. So we're not going to select the device that I'm using right now, which is my mobile phone, but I'm going to add another device to this network right now, and then use that device. We're going to control the level of access this device has. So I'm going to set this up now. Hopefully this will work off camera here. You can't see this. But right now we are now going to connect another wireless device to this new mesh network. And this device should appear here, where we are then able to configure and change and give it a certain amount of access and credentials. There it is, it's appeared there. There's our second device, and it's a desktop PC using 2.4 gigahertz. Once again, in my previous video, I will remind you, just real quick, that the reason this 3-pack is known as an AC2200 model, that 6600 corresponds to the maximum theoretical data speed and flow possible with these three devices. Each individual node should give you a theoretical maximum of 2200 megabits of speed, and that's over 2.4 gigahertz bandwidth and 5 gigahertz bandwidth. That their individual speeds of around 4 and 800 megabits per second respectively, there or thereabouts with a few left over, add up to that 2200 megabits per second theoretical maximum for each pod, times 2200 by 3, and there's your 6600. But it does depend, of course, on what frequency each device is using. As you can see with my desktop PC there, running on a 2.4 gigahertz frequency, it's quite an old machine, and my phone using a full 5 gigahertz frequency. So that will, of course, be a potential limiter of the maximum overall speed. But if we go back to the parental controls, what we can do now is select my PC there at the top, and we can decide what we want it to do. So for example, we can pause complete internet access on that device. If you've got kids that are supposed to be doing homework or doing chores or doing something where they're using the internet and they shouldn't, you can completely pause their internet connectivity. And I can tell you right now, I know you can't see it on screen, but straight away the PC in front of me is now telling me that I'm connected to a network but no internet. We'll let the internet resume there. Next, we can schedule pause phases where if we don't want them to have internet connectivity at a certain time of day, such as during the night or the evening, then this is something we can enable there. Moving back, we can then block. Now this is somewhere where the link shield comes in. And again, I'm not going to focus too much on this because it is a paid extra. But what you can do is have certain pre-made settings where certain websites are blacklisted or whitelisted depending. Now the link shield process, of course there is a free trial that you pay for, will allow you to make sure you can set up an education setting where they can access things like Wikipedia or news resources like the BBC website or other whitelisted websites that you can add by custom, and blacklist dodgy websites or social websites, like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, that sort of thing. And it lets you do that, or you can enter them more manually if you so choose. So they're not forcing you to use that paid service, but me personally, I still don't like the fact they're charging you for this updating service, which I don't think needs a payment behind it. I know Google doesn't, and nor does Synology, but it's nice to know that you can still list websites individually on this software. Making our way forward, we can go for device prioritization, and this device prioritization will not come as a surprise to note that this means some devices will have a priority on your network. What this means is if several devices are accessing the internet at once, but one of them is incredibly important, maybe it's a media device or watching TV, maybe you've got a home office, this will mean that some devices are given priority over the others. So if that device needs more internet connectivity for an upload or a download, other devices on your network will then have their bandwidth reduced accordingly. Now if we go back to the main software, we've already set up my phone to have device prioritization, and if we go to the top here, we can then look at some of the other settings and protocols of our device. There's the connected devices from earlier, and moving forward, we can then look at a speed check. Now the speed check is what we're probably going to be using later on in our next series of videos, where we're bench testing and comparing the speed of different Wi-Fi networks and different mesh networks against one another. Right now, this isn't going to be really indicative of this device as a whole, because I am only a foot away from one of these access points. But what's going to be really interesting is when we create our Wi-Fi access point, what speeds we can achieve at greater distances, and if we only have one device and we stand in a given spot or distance, what the speed difference will be between this and a node network, one that's got several mesh points all spread about over a certain distance. But as we can see, the upload and download there, the download is 83 megabits per second, and again for a mobile phone that's still pretty damn good, but remember this is a network speed, not an internet speed. This is very important because internet uploads and downloads aren't the same as your network speed, although they do say on there that the upload speed represents how quickly you're able to upload content to the internet. In the case of this app, that's quite useful. It's worth noting that in the real world, your network upload download is not the same as your internet upload and download. If we carry on moving forward, We've got that speed check taking place right now in the background, and then we can go to some of the more advanced admin settings along the way. So if we look at develop administration, this is where we can control, neuter, or give priority to certain devices in our mesh network. They all support MIMO, multi-input, multi-output, and we can look at other ways in which we can configure this network in a far more bespoke fashion. I'm not going to play with these settings too much, but of course we can change the settings on this router, on this mesh router, in the same way we would any other router. My account, of course, is the account we've created, and that's about it really. There's notifications for updates, and we've set up the notification for if we lose internet connectivity, where if one of our nodes is lost on the network, we will get a notification, so we can go there and repair it. And of course, there is support on this device for the Amazon Alexa system, so we can give voice commands to Alexa that will talk directly to our mesh network to enable and disable guest stuff, as well as find out more about our network using the voice activation of Alexa. But I'm going to wrap things up here. Personally, I'm not overwhelmed by this software. It is very user-friendly. The options are there if you want them. And I'm definitely going to say that as free software goes, it is incredibly straightforward and user-friendly and easy to use. But what I will say is I do not like that the Linksys parental control is charged for. They mentioned about what you're including in your subscription and what it does, but this is a service that a number of providers are giving for free. And quite frankly, I think it's a little bit disappointing that Linksys have chosen to make this a paid service. Second thing that disappoints me is the fact that the majority of the operation, access, control and utilization of this software is via a mobile device. I love that it's via a mobile, but I don't like that it's only via mobile. I want the ability to access this on a desktop PC, a laptop or whatever. I don't want to be restricted in an official capacity just to my mobile phone. That said, the Wi-Fi system's pretty damn good, and the speeds I'm getting and the speed of setup have been significantly quicker than most other mesh systems. I'm going to wrap things up now. In the next series of videos, I'm going to be doing speed test, and then of course the videos where I'm going to compare some of these great mesh systems with one another. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.